The latest Fallout 76 update finally lets players become ghouls for the first time in Fallout history, but that's not all. Bethesda also dropped a completely new gameplay mechanic called Onslaught, and it changes everything. So today we're diving deep into how it works, how to use it, and why you absolutely need to start incorporating it into your everyday builds. Before we get into how the mechanic actually works, let me break it down real quick so we're all on the same page on exactly what Onslaught is. Onslaught is a new damage stacking mechanic. Every time you hit an enemy, you build up a stack of Onslaught, which appears at the bottom right hand screen of under your AP bar. Each stack increases your damage per shot by a set percentage. The more stacks you have, the more damage you deal. And here's where it gets interesting. The stacks decay at a rate of 1 per second, meaning you constantly have to hit enemies to keep your damage maxed out. So, naturally, this mechanic works best with automatic weapons that rapid fire, so you could keep up those stacks. So the more you hit enemies, the more stacks you get. The more stacks you get, the more damage you do, or the faster you reload, and there's just a whole bunch of other buffs that come with it. So just hit enemy, get onslaught stack. There are two current ways to trigger onslaught stacks, but let's start with the less exciting of the two ways. First, you could use a weapon with the Furious legendary effect. This automatically generates onslaught stacks when you damage an enemy. So you deal damage, you get stack, you do more damage per each stack that you have. But there is a problem with this, unfortunately. If you're running a bloodied build, if you're not a ghoul, and if you're taking advantage of the fact that you still take radiation damage, you're probably going to run a bloody build and not a full health build, because full health builds are significantly better on ghouls now. But anyway, if you're a human, a smooth skin, and if you're running a bloodied build, Furious isn't the best choice, since you rather still have your bloodied for maximum damage. The one big exception, however, like I've already previously mentioned, is ghouls. Since ghouls can't really take advantage of the whole entire bloodied mechanic in the game, a Furious weapon like my Furious Gamma Gun that you see tearing through everything in the gameplay footage is actually a really good option. Now for the much better way of getting onslaught stacks, using the Onslaught perk cards. Bethesda changed all the gunslinger perk cards so that they no longer affect pistols. Instead, they now boost onslaught damage, reload speed, and how many stacks you could actually get to. And here's the best part: anyone can use them regardless of your weapon's legendary effect or whether you're a ghoul. So if you're running a bloodied auto railway rifle, stick with the same weapon and same effect, but use the onslaught perk cards, and boom, you're instantly doing 40% more damage than you were doing. So yeah, it's a pretty big game changer. So it affects ghouls and it affects non-ghouls basically the same exact way. If you have onslaught, you're going to get more. If you have onslaught stacks, you're going to do more damage. You're going to get more reload speed. Make sure you're using them. But how much extra damage are we actually talking about? Let's break it down with some quick math. Now, say you have a Furious weapon or an Onslaught perk card, you will get 5% extra damage per stack. With a cap of 5 stacks baseline, there are ways to increase this amount of stacks. Now, let's say your weapon deals 100 base damage. Hitting the max stacks of 5 Onslaught stacks at 5% extra damage now means that your weapon will be doing 125 base damage. But here is where it gets crazy. If you go all in on Onslaught perk cards, you get the maximum reload speed, you get the maximum damage, and then you get the increase to your total stack ability, how many stacks you could actually have. You can boost your damage by a wild 40% per shot, which is insane. That's an insane amount of extra free DPS. If you're running a ghoul range build, you absolutely need these cards to do any damage. If you're running a bloodied build, chances are you probably have a couple extra perk cards to throw around, because really you don't need that much to make a bloody build. Bloody build, switch some stuff around, take some stuff out of strength because it got a huge debuff, unfortunately, with this update, and put it in agility to maximize how much damage you could do, how many onslaught perk cards you could grab. This is the new meta, even if you are a bloody build. Doesn't matter if you're a ghoul or a smooth skin. Doesn't matter if you're running a full health build or if you're running a bloody build. This is a way to get anywhere from 25 to 40% extra damage per shot. You're crazy if you don't use it. So I know you're probably sold, but if you're still asking if you should be using Onslaught, my personal opinion, yes, 100%, no question. If you're not running Onslaught in your build, you're straight up gimping your own damage. Bethesda just added a system that gives you a free permanent 25% to 40% damage increase. Why wouldn't you use it? Let's be real. Bloodied kind of is getting overshadowed by this a lot right now. The game has shifted. Obviously, you still can do a shit ton of damage with a bloody build. No one's bloody build is falling off or anything like that. It's just if you're not using Onslaught paired with your bloodied, you're falling behind in terms of damage. Now, whether you're running a full health build or just a traditional bloodied build, Onslaught is a must-have. Whether you're a human or a ghoul, it does not matter. You're going to want to take advantage of that extra damage, I promise you. As you could see in my gameplay footage here, I am using it as a ghoul. I'm using a couple of extra perk cards here. I'm using basically I maxed out my Onslaught. I can have the maximum amount of slots, and I get the 40% extra damage. Plus, when I'm glowing, I get plus 50% critical hit damage for bats and everything like that. So my damage with this little gamma gun is absolutely insane. You are able to use this on any weapon too, which is the craziest part. This basically makes full health builds a viable option. If you haven't tried out a full health build in Fallout 76, or if you did and you're just unimpressed by the damage, go back and try it out now. I promise you're able to have an extremely tanky build with up to 40% more extra damage. This thing makes pistols usable, it makes shotguns usable, especially shotguns, and the best part about it, if you use an explosive weapon or an AoE weapon, it gives you more stacks. So obviously, every time you hit an enemy, if your explosive AoE attack hits 2 enemies, you get 2 stacks. If it hits 3 enemies, you get 3 stacks. It does not matter. So this thing is viable with any type of playstyle. Now, if you are a ghoul, again, I cannot stress this enough, if you are not running a melee build, this is the way for you. Just stock up on as many mentats or chems as you can so you keep yourself from going feral. Throw on a few select perk cards, all of the Onslaught ones, and then a few in luck so then you auto reload, and then you also get some more VATS critical damage, and then you are going to have an unstoppable full health tanky build. You'll get the extra bonus from not being feral with the extra HP, and then of course you'll have 25 to 40% extra damage. Now, if you can only fit one of these inside of your build, like if you don't have enough space for all of them, throw them in there. You'll still get an extra 20 or an extra 25 damage, an extra 20% damage, an extra 50% damage, an extra 30% damage. You will still get extra damage depending on how many you throw in there. If you are a low level and if you want more damage, definitely throw this thing on. You literally could get extra damage for just being up close with an enemy. They're trying to make every single gun usable now, and Onslaught is actually the way to do it. They finally figured it out. Payday 2 had a very similar mechanic to this. If you guys remember that game, if you remember that mechanic, I'm blanking on what it's actually called in the in the game, but it's not called Onslaught. But it's basically the same thing. You just shoot enemies, you get more damage from the stacks, and then your stacks deplete when you don't shoot enemies. It's a game changer. It's a must-have. They should have done this years ago, especially for full health builds. I actually am having a really great time playing through as a ghoul using an Onslaught build. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents of the Wasteland. We've made it to the end of another Fallout 76 video. If you're playing as a ghoul and struggling with damage, get these perk cards. If you're just struggling with damage to begin with, do yourself a favor and get these perk cards. And again, if you don't really care about being a ghoul, still get these perk cards. At least get one of them, throw them in your build. I promise you will notice a large damage increase. You're just wasting damage and your own time if you're not using these. Bethesda is obviously trying to make a change in the meta, so you might as well adapt with it. Doesn't matter if you're bloodied, still just throw one of these in your build and you'll be blown away. I promise. I personally was blown away with how well it works and actually makes a lot of guns feel significantly better, like energy weapons, shotguns, and pistols. And obviously it makes your heavy guns feel even stronger too. Now, what do you think about this new mechanic? Drop a comment and let me know. Personally, I love it, and as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video. I'll see you in the Wasteland, hopefully one-shotting everything with this new insane system.